Okay, we have Chapter 4, Review. I'm going to do 12 problems with you on your review. The rest you have to do by yourself, and I will give you an answer key to look at to double check your work. You can do this, and I do want you to check things with the calculator, and I'll tell you when to use the calculator when I'm going through the problems when I'm going through them. So that would be probably when you would check yours with the calculator. Okay, here we go. You could do this. Okay, have your calculator ready. First, I'm going to look at problem number 3. I see 2/3 x minus 5 equals 1. Find your equal sign, find your variable. Let's get rid of this negative 5 first, to move it to the other side by doing the opposite operation on both sides of the equation. So that 5 cancels out, so I have 2/3 x equals 6. So 1 plus 5 is 6. Okay, when you have your fraction like this, we can cancel it out and turn it into a 1 by multiplying by the reciprocal on both sides of the equation. If I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal on the right side, I'm going to put that over a 1. Okay, so this here cancels out, and I'm left with an x all by itself. That's easy on that side. On this side of the equation, I'm going to multiply across. It's going to give me 6 times 3, 18. And multiply this across over 2. 18 divided by 2 is 9. So this side of the equation is 9. And x equals 9. Now, I could substitute this in and check it over here for the x, but I don't have time to do that right now. We're just going to zip through this video so that you have some problems solved that you could check to see if you're doing them right tonight for homework. Okay, let's check number 4. Okay, here we go. There's my equal sign. Let's see, can I do anything right away? Well, right here on this, wait, hold up. Okay. So right here, I could see that I can put that together first. I'm going to use my calculator on this one. I'm going to go 9 ABC 4 minus 3 ABC 8. That is going to give me a 1 and 7/8. If I was going to convert it back into MN form, I'd go 8 times 1 is 8 plus 7 is going to be 15/8. And that keeps my denominators the same. And then I still have to isolate this p by multiplying by the reciprocal. So that cancels out. I'm left with the p, and I have to do it on both sides. So this cancels out right there, and that leaves me with 15/5. If I divide this down, that would give me a 3, and p equals 3. So again, I know this is really fast, but I just want to show you the steps so that you can kind of remember a little bit more quickly. Okay, number 8. We see the parentheses here, so we have to distribute the 4 to the first term and the 4 to the second term. And this reminds me of that last chapter that we just worked hard on. All right, 4 times 3 is 12x, and 4 times negative 2 is a negative 8 equals 16. Now I have my two-step equation. Here's my equal sign, here's my x. I'm going to add 8 on both sides. That will cancel out. 12x equals, and 16 plus 8, 24. And next I will divide by 12 on both sides of the equation. 12 divided by 12 is 1x, and 24 divided by 12 is 2. And 2 is the final answer. Okay, this one we have distributing again with both terms. And I could do that if I wanted to. But since this is the only thing that's out here outside the terms here, I can do something else. I can cancel this 3/4 out. Let me show you. Let's just multiply this by the reciprocal. So that cancels it out right there. And let's multiply this by the reciprocal. And that cancels out right there, which leaves me with the 4/8 over here. I can do that because this term is in parentheses, and this is outside the parentheses. So now I'm left with 5a minus 3 right there. Okay, so now, here's my a, plus 3 plus 3. Okay, this cancels out. 5a equals, and I'm just going to put that in the calculator. 4abc 8 plus 3 gives me 3 and 1/2. And if I do this, 6, that'll give me 7/2 equals 5a. Divide by 5. Divide by 5/1, which would be the same as 7/2 times 1/5, multiplying by the reciprocal. That leaves me with a, and this, if I multiply this across, that gets me 7/10 a. Now this one was a tricky problem because there were a lot of steps with the fractions, and I even used the calculator to do it. But long, tricky problem, the final answer is a equals 7/10. Okay, this problem asks, is this pair of equations equivalent? So I have to look at this equation and this equation. Well, I'm looking at them and I see 3 x's in both. That doesn't look similar, but let's take a look at it and see. Let's see if I could put this together and this together. That would give me 6x minus 5 equals 7. And then I would go plus 5 plus 5. And that would give me 6x equals, what's 7 plus 5? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. And then I would go divide by 6, divide by 6. X equals 2. Okay, so nothing matched up and I have x equals 2. So now I got to figure out if this equation's variable equals 2. So there's that. Minus 1, minus 1. 3x equals 6. Divide by 3. Divide by 3. X equals 2. So that seems to work for that problem. So, is this set of equations equivalent? Yeah, I'd have to say it is. Yes, because x equals 2 here and x equals 2 here. So these are both, yes, equivalent. Okay, the same thing. Is this pair of equations equivalent? Let's check it out. They don't look the same. So let's just see what I can do. Let's go plus 3 on both sides here. That cancels out. 2/5 x equals 4. Multiply by the reciprocal over here. Multiply this by the reciprocal over here. That's over a 1. So with x equals, multiply this across, 20/2. Divide that. That gives me 10. X equals 10. Let's check this one out. I'm just going to multiply this by the reciprocal, multiply this by the reciprocal, this cancels out. X equals 15 times 4, that's 60, and 2 times 3 is 6. Divide that down, that gives me a 10, so X equals 10. So yes, these are equivalent fractions. Not fractions, equivalent equations. They both equal 10. Okay, so now I'm going to that page that has several lengthier equations to just solve for the missing variable. My equal sign, I noticed that I could put these together, a -1 and a -3. And if I don't know what to do right away, and I can't think of that off the top of my head, I'm going to put it in my calculator. -1 minus 3 will give me a -4. Okay, so now I'm going to add 4 on both sides. 5r equals, and this is opposites again right here. Opposites, so there I'm going to have to actually subtract them. I'm going to get a -10, but I'm going to check that in my calculator. -14 plus 4 is -10. So when you have negatives, you've got to be careful and double check with your calculator. Okay, so now I got divide by 5 on both sides. That will isolate r over here, and 10 divided by 5 is going to be a -2. And I'm going to check that with my calculator. -10 divided by 5 is -2. And let me check my answer on that one. And yes. Okay, this one, here's my equal sign. I see this variable and this variable. I'm going to combine them. X plus x is 2x minus 2 equals 20. Plus 2 on both sides. And this will cancel out. 2x equals 22. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. That is 1x equals 22 divided by 2, 11. And that was number 17. Huh. I did something wrong on this one. Here's what I did wrong. This is a -20. So this, I need to erase all this. Hold up. Hold up. I knew I did something wrong on here. So, and this is how this is me just double checking here. I'm going to double check right here. Erase this. It's not 11. So if you went ahead and did this problem with me, well, I did it wrong, and I'm going to go back and do it again. Okay, so here we go. I put this x together with this x. That's 2x minus 2 equals -20. Plus 2 plus 2. I have opposite signs on this side. This is 2x. These are opposite signs. It's going to be -18. And then I'm going to divide by 2, divide by 2. X equals a -18 divided by 2 is going to be a -9. Let me check that in my calculator. -18 divided by 2, -9. Sorry about that. You had to watch my whole mistake. If you caught it while I went through it, good for you, because that means you did that better than I did. Okay, here I see parentheses, so let's distribute to these parentheses here. This would be 24 plus 20x equals 124. You know, there are more than one way to do these problems. This is just what I find to be the easiest way. All right, so I'm going to go -24 on both sides of the equation. So now I'm left with 20x equals 100. Divide by 20, divide by 20. It's 1x equals, cross out a 0, 10 divided by 2, 5. So, do you see my little shortcut I did right there? I crossed out that 20 there. There's 2 zeros there to make the math look a little bit easier. Or I could check that with a calculator. Okay, another distributing problem. Negative 3 times 3, negative 3 times 5. That would be negative 9 minus 15p. And if you don't believe me, check that in your calculator. Negative 3 times 5, negative 3 times 5 is a negative 15. Plus 9 on both sides. That gets rid of that pretty easy. So I'm left with negative 15p equals 48 plus 9. It's 57. And I think this is going to end up not an even answer. Divide by 15 on both sides. That leaves me with 1p equals, and 57 divided by negative 15 is 3.8 negative. And somehow I did something wrong on that one too. Plus 9 plus, oh, no? Yep, I did something wrong because this is supposed to be I wrote the problem wrong. This should be a negative 48. So if this is a negative 48 right here, then this right here, this part right here, negative 48 plus 9 would be a negative 39. And then divide that by 15. So negative 39 divided by negative 15 is actually a positive. So let's get rid of this. Positive 2.6. So P equals 2.6. I'm sorry, I did that one wrong too because I originally did not remember to write down that negative sign. And that's a problem when you write down math problems. You got to make sure you write them down correctly the first time. But I'm trying to go fast because I'm trying to get this video done for you guys tomorrow. Okay, let's try the next. Okay, let's do this. Here's an 18. There's my equal sign. I see a lot of distributing going on here, so let's just go ahead and start. So this would be negative 8p minus 80. Because 8 times 10 is 80, and there's one negative, so it's a negative 80. And this is going to be a plus 21p plus 7. Okay, and then my 18 goes over here, and here's my equal sign. I could combine this negative 8p and this 21p. So I'm going to head and do that. I'm going to go negative 8 plus 21, and that will give me 13p. Positive 13p. There's more positive here, so the answer is positive 13p. And I'm going to combine negative 80 and 7. So I'm going to go negative 80 plus 7, and that will give me a negative 73 right there. And there's more negatives, so that's why it's a negative 73. And 18 stays over here. So, plus 73 on both sides, plus 73, that gets rid of that. I'm left with 13p here equals, I'm just going to use my calculator, 18 plus 73, and that will equal 91. Divide by 13 on both sides. That's p equals 91 divided by 13 is 7. So P will equal 7. I could go back in and show you all that to check it, but I don't have time right now. I got to do more of a problem, and you got to just try to take your time in following these steps and continuing on. Okay. This is the last problem. We could do this. Here we go. Hopefully we'll get it right. Hopefully I wrote it down right. Okay, 6 times 2x. See, there's my equal sign. That's going to be 12x. 6 times 10 plus 60. Negative 9 times x, negative 9x. Negative 9 times a negative 3 is going to be a positive 27. And that all is going to equal that 63. I'm going to combine this 12x with this negative 9x. That would give me a positive 3x. And then I'm going to combine 60 and 27. Those are both positive. So that would be 87. And there's my 63 still hanging out on this side. Okay, so now I'm going to go minus 87 over here because I'm trying to get this x isolated. I want x to stay on this side of the equation. Negative 87 over here. And that cancels out. So now I'm left with 3x equals, and I'm going to do this one on my calculator. 63 minus 87 is going to give me, sorry about that, 63 minus 87, negative 24 over here. Okay, so now I still have x right here. I'm going to divide by 3. Divide by 3. So x is now isolated and by itself, and negative 24 divided by 3. So negative 24 divided by 3, and I'm checking that in my calculator. Negative 8. Okay. So sometimes you're working from like this side of the equation, you're going over to this. Notice how this kind of all stayed one number all the way through, and I showed all my work over here on this side so that I could isolate the x on this side and keep my answer. If you want to rewrite it the other way so that the x is on the other side, you could do that, but I suggest you just kind of follow through the steps. Alright, good luck and double check your answer key with the rest of the problems.